morning, everyone, and welcome back to English. I hope you had a restful weekend and you got a lot of reading done and you are ready to begin another week of English and get into more and more of your fantasy books and hopefully some new books today. So first, I'd like you to look right here. We've got this list of words here, and I want you to think just for a moment what they have in common. Okay, so we've got alchemy, castle, amulet, apprentice, conjure, and curse. Okay, so what might they have in common? So what you're probably thinking is that these words are used in fantasy books probably more than anywhere else. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the vocabulary in our fantasy books and think about ways that we can figure out the words we don't know and how we can kind of track the new words we learn throughout our books. So fantasy is kind of unique in that often the authors, they create words, they just create their own. And some authors have created their own languages to use in their books. Like if you know the Lord of the Rings, the author of that created 15 new languages just for the characters and species of things in their book or in his book. So that makes it a challenge for readers because we're going to face more words that we may not know. Okay, so our goal today is to expect fantasy novels to use challenging vocabulary and have some tools we can use to figure out the meaning. Okay, so today I'm going to give you an example of a process that you could go through to help identify unknown words and also show you a way of tracking that. And this will be an assignment that I talk about in a few minutes. After the mini lesson, I'm going to bring everybody back together and explain the word journal assignment. But first, in this mini lesson, I'll be giving you one example to check out. So here I have a page from The Thief of Always. Okay, and as I was reading this, I came across some unknown words. And I'll show you the first one. It is right here. This one here, boughs. Until this moment, standing beneath the creaking boughs, watching the wind shake down the leaves, autumn had always seemed to him the saddest of seasons. Okay, so if you remember in the book here, Harvey is noticing that the trees, all the leaves have fallen off the trees, and it's happening in the middle of the day, and he's kind of confused about what's going on, but he's also starting to understand how the seasons change at the Holiday House. So this word boughs, when I read it, I wasn't sure what it meant, but to figure it out, I looked around the world and tried to use the context to give myself a good, like a head start on understanding the meaning. So what I noticed was Harvey is standing beneath the boughs, okay, and when the wind shakes, the leaves come down. So I'm thinking, I know there are trees there. I know he's standing under one. And when these things shake, leaves come down. So I think these are branches. Okay? Branches there. Branches. Okay, so in that example, I used what I know about the book so far and the words surrounding the unknown word, and I make a guess. And then later I check it out. I see, yes, that's right. Boughs are branches. Okay. Another word that may have been new was deluge. Okay, so he's under the tree. The nights would be growing long and cold, but now, as the drizzle of leaves became a deluge, and the patter of acorns and chestnuts a drumming, he laughed to see and hear its coming. So when I look here, again, I'm going to look around the world to see, around the word to see if I can come up with some words that might fit here. Okay, and what sticks out to me is the drizzle of leaves, right? And I think this is real interesting because drizzle, we usually use drizzle for rain, right? It's drizzling outside, right? It's lightly raining. But where we are in the book here, and what's going on, I know that changes are happening rapidly. So if a drizzle becomes a deluge, then deluge might be the opposite of drizzle. And for that, I think a deluge might be heavy rain. Right, so that's my guess. And then later I check that out and I see that a deluge is a flood or heavy rain. Okay, so the way I'm going to keep track of this and how I'm going to think a little more about it is like what you see here. Okay, now this is a very simple word journal. I have deluge, right, a severe flood or heavy rain, and I looked it up in the dictionary. I also had a pretty good guess just by looking at the context. And then I asked one more important question: how it affects the mood and tone. Okay, so I got to ask, why did the author choose deluge and not heavy rain? Okay, and what I think is that it helps me really understand the quantity of leaves, right? Because it's a drizzle of leaves and then it becomes a deluge. So in my head, I'm visualizing a flood of leaves. Okay, almost like a big truck full of leaves is dumping its leaves out of the sky on top of Harvey. Okay, so I think maybe that's why the author used the word. Maybe the author likes the way it sounds. Right? We don't know. For bow, right, in my word journal I have the meaning, and then I mentioned how I learned it. Okay, I use the context. I know he's under a tree and leaves are falling from boughs, so I figured out their branches. But for this one, for how it affects mood and tone, I'm not real sure because I can't figure out why the author chose bow and not branch. Okay, maybe I can look into this more and maybe I can look at the author's background. Well, maybe not. But for now, I'm just going to say not sure. I don't see anything in that word that affects the mood and tone, and that's okay. Okay, so for you guys, the words that you end up looking up and looking into, you may not be able to identify a way that it affects the mood and tone. It may just be a word you didn't know that the author didn't really use to create something with mood or tone. So as you work today, this is one of your options, okay? And this is one of the things I'd like to see you do. And right now I'm going to call you back into a Google Meet and I will give you the specifics about this assignment. Okay, so thank you for listening and I'll see you real soon.